All right, what I liked, didn't like, and a few other observations from the game. I'll start with Marcus Mariota. I thought he was an A yesterday. There you go. I didn't bury the lead. There's my grade. Think he was an A. I mean, obviously the fumble probably knocks him down a little bit from, a little bit higher than an A, like an A plus. I just thought everything looked so sharp, so comfortable, so decisive. Even on the fumble, that zone read keeper, it's 22 yards. He looks fast and he leaps up into the air and had the ball stripped from him. But look, the opening touchdown drive, it's all Rodriguez until the third and goal from the 2. And that I do not think, I'm pretty sure that was not a designed run. I think that was a scramble. I thought he was incredibly decisive, made the decision, saw the daylight, got to it, scored. It was a 7-0 lead. Just liked everything I saw from Marcus Mariota. He was 15 of 21 for 207 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, took one sack, avoided a few others. But the 15 of 21, at least 3 drops. The Debo drop, the Jalen Lane touchdown drop. Terry had a second long ball that was catchable that he didn't pull in. He just, he's a pro, man. He saw the field. He was ready for the game. The ball came out quickly. The ball was accurate. It went where it was supposed to go, I think, most of the time. And as a runner, man, he looked like Heisman Marcus Mariota. And again, like this is a few weeks off of Achilles tendonitis where we weren't sure he'd be active for the early portion of the season. 6 rushes for 40 yards, a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown. When he did get pressure, did you see how quick that ball was out on time, where it was supposed to go? And look, it helps that they were really good around him, meaning they ran the football. They couldn't do it against the Packers for whatever the reasons were. But it really does. Part of protecting a quarterback is running the football, and they ran it from the start. Marcus Mariota, on the list of things that I really liked from the game, I thought he was an A in this game. The rushing attack, Washington, for the second time in 3 games, over 200 yards rushing. This was a rushing attack by committee. And let me just start with this, man. The 6 offensive linemen, they started with that with Trent Scott. We had, Chris Paul in for Brandon Coleman, who was inactive. Interesting, right? Not injury related. The coach talked about, competition. Andrew Wiley in for Allegretti. Allegretti played some. Trent Scott, played. I've not seen the snap counts. They were not out last night when I looked at it and weren't out early this morning. Let me see if I can get. I'm going to guess Trent Scott was in for at least a third of the snaps as a 6th offensive lineman, / eligible offensive lineman. Here they are. Here are the offensive snap counts. Trent Scott played. What did I just say? A third of the snaps? Did I just say a third? I think I said a third. Maybe I didn't say a third. Maybe I said half. I thought I said a third. 33% of the snaps. 19 of the 58. He was in there. But the running back by committee, everybody contributed. Everybody looked good. They had 2 backs, sometimes 3 backs in the backfield with Debo back there. It started with Rodriguez. I think it started with Rodriguez because, again, I think they wanted to set the tone by being the more physical team. We're putting Trent Scott out there. We're going to ram this thing down your throat. You're, a team that isn't that good to start with, and you're on short rest. I don't know if Rodriguez is going to be the lead back for every game in terms of being out there first. It might be Bill some games. It might be him. But I think it was him yesterday because they wanted to set the tone, and they did that. 5 runs after Debo's opening kickoff, 4 by Rodriguez, and then the scramble touchdown by Mariota. They had 201 total rushing yards, 174 in the first half. Rodriguez, 11 for 39. By the way, that very first run of the game after the Debo kickoff return, I'm pretty sure Rodriguez got his face mask yanked and it wasn't called. Bill Krosky-Merritt, 8 for 26. Man, I love his vision. He had a jump cut in the backfield when it was going to be a -1, -2, and he ended up with a big run. His vision, his cutting ability is first rate. And then Jeremy McNichols. We've known that they have loved McNichols, even though most of us, me included, thought they had just gotten a dude that probably wouldn't make the team when they signed him. Well, he's been excellent on special teams. He's intelligent. He does exactly what they want him to do. And with Eckler gone, we're going to see a lot of Jeremy McNichols, especially in that third down role for Eckler. What a game for him, that 60-yard touchdown that broke the 10-10 tie where he broke 4 or 5 tackles, including running basically over Jeremy Chin. Debo back there, 3 rushes, 18 yards, had a reverse, had a wildcat snap run. And then Mariota, 6 for 40, 201 yards by committee, 6.3 yards per rush, 3 touchdowns. Would have been nice had they been able to do that a little bit against the Packers, but the Packers are not the Raiders on defense. And they weren't prepared for that kind of game plan when Bates went out. They were assuming Bates would be there. Now they've got, something that they can go to. Look, they were top 5 in rushing last year. I'm going to assume that they are very high in the through 3 weeks now in rushing yards average per game. Yeah, they are second right now behind Buffalo in the NFL at 157.3 yards per game. And that is essentially 2 games. That is the Giant game, and that is yesterday's game. It is interesting, right? When Cliff Kingsbury got hired, even though he had guys like, Chase Edmonds and James Conner and did run the football a bunch, with Kyler Murray as well. There was this, feeling about air raid and Mike Leach and all this stuff, and they won't have an NFL running attack. They have a running attack. It's not traditional NFL style, but I mean the formations yesterday, that diamond formation, were essentially, in that diamond formation, you got 3 backs in the game. You basically have 3 backs and no tight ends. That is what you would call, I think, 30 personnel. I don't. Maybe they did have kind of Trent Scott in on some of those plays as an eligible tight end or as an eligible tackle. It's a dynamic attack, and the quarterback's a part of it, which makes it so hard to defend. There are a lot of teams that way now in the league. We know that. But when your quarterback like Jaden or Mariota is a threat to run the football, and you are, as Mike Shanahan described many years ago, 11 on 11 in the run game, it is advantage offense. Loved it. Loved everything they did. I thought Cliff came out and really was a rough Thursday night game against the Packers, no doubt. They were ready today. The balance, the emphasis on the run is something, by the way, remember Dan Quinn, kind of suggested they got away from and didn't need to get away from against the Packers. Number 2 on the list of things I liked, the rushing attack by committee. Number 3, just the return yards and the special teams, overall. But I mean, you had in this game 245 return yards. Debo, 2 kickoffs for 93 yards, including the 69-yarder in the opener, in the opening kickoff, 46.5 yards per kickoff return. McCaffrey had a 25-yard kickoff return. He actually stumbled. There was room on that one, too. Jalen Lane, 5 punt returns, 127 yards, including the 90-yarder for the touchdown. So even in the other 4, he still had, went for 9+ yards a return. But the average with the 90-yarder in there is 25.4 yards per return. That had to be one of the better return yardage days in franchise history, I would assume. 245 return yards for Washington. That's going to help you in a lot of games, man. They're not taking the ball away again. They didn't take it away enough last year. Through 3 games, and I'll get to that when I get to the list of things I didn't like, no takeaways. But when your special teams are flipping the field on returns, and, oh, by the way, not giving anything up on coverage of kicks, which was exceptional again yesterday. Once again, they have very good coverage units. Yesterday, Vegas's punt returns 2 for 10 yards. Kickoff returns, they averaged 22 yards per kickoff return. Outstanding job in the return game, in the kick coverage game, hidden yardage all over the place, big plays, big chunk plays. Yeah, that's on the list of things that I liked. Explosive plays from the game yesterday on the list. 69-yard opening kickoff return by Debo. The 90-yard punt return by Jalen Lane. The 60-yard touchdown run by McNichols. The 57-yard catch and run by Terry McLaurin. Didn't have any explosives in week 2. And Quinn had talked about, some of the explosives and getting some back into the offense. They had them yesterday, albeit against a defense that isn't very good, especially on the back end, and they didn't tackle well at all yesterday. Also on the list of things that I like, let's switch it to the defense. We've talked about special teams. We've talked about the offense. We've talked about the explosive plays. How about Washington's run defense? Pretty excellent yesterday, and now through 3 games, really solid. Keep in mind, the Giant offensive line banged up and not very good in the opener. The Raiders offensive line banged up and horrendous yesterday. And they've struggled to run the football, in their previous games. 28 carries, 93 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. Genty had a couple of good runs. He's going to be a good back. But Washington dominated with their defensive front, the line of scrimmage, and made it very difficult for the Raiders to run the football. Overall, Genty was 3.7 yards per carry, despite having an 18 and a 14-yard run. Washington did another 3 straight games now. We'll see if it holds up against teams that are better equipped to run the football. Josh Jacobs got yards when he needed them, but still overall, I thought Washington's effort against the run at Lambeau was, B- territory. So they've had 2 A days against the run and a B- day against the run. Off to a good start. They have changed the way they are up front. Wise's loss didn't hurt him yesterday. Payne was outstanding yesterday, I thought. Luvu, I thought, was outstanding yesterday. Kinlaw, maybe not in the statistical category. Armstrong is having himself a season right now. Really versatile. But yeah, Washington's run defense on the list of things that I like. Then the pass rush. They had 5 sacks. I don't know how Geno escaped like 3 or 4 others. That should have been an 8 or 9 sack day. He was under siege all day long. When he had time, it was a problem, and I'll get to that. But I can't figure out how the hell he got away from at least 2, 3, 4 other sacks. Wagner had 2. Armstrong had 1. Von Miller got 1. Payne, Luvu were really good up front. John Baptiste had 1, I'm pretty sure, right? John Baptiste, yeah. 90. He's a good player. They like him. The pass rush against a porous offensive line, for sure, was a big plus on the day yesterday. How about Jeremy Reeves yesterday? Had to come in for Will Harris. I thought he played really well. He really hits. I thought Washington defensively really got after it and really hit people all day long. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. I mean, special teams, offense, running the football, Mariota, the return yardage, the coverage on kicks, and then stopping the run and getting after Geno Smith. All of that was good. I liked at the end of the half. Some of you were really on Quinn with me to talk about clock management at the end of the first half. The bottom line is, yeah, they could have taken timeout number 3 earlier, but then the Raiders would have just run it and run the 40 seconds off anyway. When Washington got the ball back from their own 35-yard line with 27 seconds to go, the big play clearly is the face mask on the Mariota sack. That's a big, big play. I really liked what they did with 8 seconds to go, running Mariota, designed run to get to the sideline to get those 4 extra yards. I don't think teams do that enough, especially when teams are sitting back. saying, we'll give you the underneath. You've got no timeouts left, but with 8 seconds to go, you can't, get the clocked situation. You can't spike it after completion in the middle of the field. And instead, they ran the quarterback to the sideline for 3 or 4 extra yards to give Matt Gay a chance. Of course, that run by Mariota just absolutely devastated the head coach, Dan Quinn. Man, did that head hit hard off the ground. That replay was tough to watch. He was bloodied, battered. Hopefully he's all well. He was fine in the press conference afterwards. He's a tough guy, but man, Mariota just ran right into him. But I love the play. Gay's 56-yard field goal. The Raiders called that timeout, and Gay got that first swing in, and he missed that first one, made the second one.